DJ Khaled.
Yeah, it's your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another Kicking It session. Today I got my man Gaston Cruz. Sounds like an actor or something, right? He is in California. My man, he's in Long Beach. Crypto adoption through education and awareness is going to be the topic for today, guys. He is the Blockchain Plus organizer and co-founder. And he's also a crypto enthusiast, so I'm glad to have him on. I met him first out in Cali in San Fran, right?
That's right. Yeah, we met at the Litecoin Summit.
Yeah, Litecoin Summit at what night was that? We had a Bitcoin bin and Big Swear.
Yeah, a lot of people were out there. I think it was like I think Bix was having his party.
Yeah.
And Ben was there, and then you walked in, and the whole room went crazy.
I couldn't believe that. Yeah, the whole room erupted. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's what you're like. Is this what being famous is like?
Right. Like, what?
Like, probably, man. Probably.
I guess, man. I'm not hip to all that, but I'm glad to have you on finally. And we've got a lot to talk about, man. So I guess first, kind of give us an introduction to you. Probably most of my audience may not be aware who you are and what you're doing. Right. So just kind of give us that spiel first, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so my name is Gaston Cruz. I'm out of the Long Beach, California area, or you can call it the LA area. We're pretty much the same. Long Beach is LA County. Mm-hmm. I got into crypto really early. To some, I mean, I could have gotten in earlier, but I thought it was totally crazy. I got into Bitcoin, I think it was 2013, probably late 2012. I got a few Bitcoin because I found out about the blockchain. I was like, whoa, this is really amazing. And what it was doing was pretty much what I was trying to do by stacking silver, go against the banks.
Right.
All the money printing is a shenanigans. And once I saw Bitcoin, I was like, this might be, a far-fetched idea, but it works if people come in and use it. So I got me a couple Bitcoin, but after that, I couldn't find any information. There was no crypto blood. There wasn't any crypto news. The only thing I could really find on the internet was a couple articles here and there. But as for information, it wasn't as plentiful as it was today.
Absolutely not. And I didn't know you had been in crypto that long. So we've got a lot to talk about because you, as myself, we've seen the, if you want to call it, maturation of crypto and the blockchain and how things have changed. It's up for debate if it's changed for the better. I guess we can talk about that or not. But yeah, man, back then you're right. There weren't, like, at least for online on YouTube, one of the only people I followed was Andreas Antonopoulos. Mm-hmm. He was very active online, as for, on YouTube. But other than that, there were very few and far between sources for us to get information about this new technology. So just tell us a little bit more about like how, your journey through this. So you started in 2000, late 12 or early 12?
I don't remember to a T. I mean, I got my Bitcoin at $65.
Okay, so you got in a little bit earlier than me because I started at $78, $79.
Okay.
Yep.
So when I got it, actually, the way I found out about it was I was stacking silver and listening to all these silver guys talk on YouTube. Then I learned about Max Kaiser.
Yep.
I'm sorry, right before Max Kaiser, I found out these guys had a really terrible video. They're in a basement, and they had 50 Bitcoin on a paper wallet, but that paper wallet was an actual physical Bitcoin coin.
What were those called? I can't pronounce it. Kakash's coins or something like that?
I don't know, man. I think it was probably before them.
Oh, okay.
But they were just shaking it in front of the camera saying, hey, this is a future Bitcoin millionaire. It used to be some odd cents and now it's $2. And I was like, oh, that's stupid. If that's the case, I can go to McDonald's and pay Monopoly dollars. But it helped me open up my mind that money is whatever we as population or a society decided to be.
Absolutely.
So I
Yep.
was like, okay, Bitcoin, whatever. It's some sort of digital currency, but that's all they said. They didn't really say about anything else. It was just some odd cents, and now it's $2. Then I started listening to Max Kaiser, and I really, really respected his opinion and everything he was saying about the banks. And then he just said Bitcoin's $20. And something about Bitcoin. I was just like, what? I could have 10x my money. So then I was like, let me look at it one more time because I really respect this guy's opinion. And then I found out about the blockchain and about its limited amount of Bitcoin to ever be mined. And I was like, this is really, really interesting. It's really groundbreaking and brand new. There's no way to tell which way it'll go, but I guarantee you two things. If it costs the same amount of a transaction fee to send value or money with Bitcoin from me to you when we're at a cashier at the same rate that it would cost me to send value money across countries, across borders around the world, it's really interesting. I was just a really young lad at the time, but I was still thinking how many wire transfers happen every day around the world. And I was like, maybe Bitcoin can probably fix this, because I'm Mexican and I grew up with my mother sending money to my family in Mexico.
Right.
And I remember the ridiculousness that you have to go through. Well, it wasn't ridiculous at that time, but you had to go to like a money location, not a bank. Over here, we call them Western Union. I don't know if you guys have them there.
Yeah, we have Western Unions. Yep.
So you would have to go there, fill out documents, and you'd probably be there 20 minutes or 30 minutes writing up a little slip. And then there was a transaction fee, which was at that time, it was a percentage of how much you were sending. Plus it took 2 to 3 days to arrive. Plus you have to call your family member and tell them I sent it.
And give them the number, right?
Yeah. And then wait 2 to 3 more days and then call again and say, did you receive it? And then Bitcoin fixed all of that. And I was like, okay, it really makes sense. And then anybody could see it. And then there was no way for a Federal Reserve or any government to come in and just print a bunch of Bitcoin. That's what got me really intrigued. So I didn't know what Coinbase was. I didn't know what Bitcoin Talk was. The only thing I had was Max Kaiser and probably a website that was kind of shady. I forgot what it was, but it kind of said some news, but it wasn't really a lot of news. So
I don't even remember. Let me think. So Coin Telegraph wasn't around. What's the other one? Coin.
I think I saw like the Coin Market Cap of the time. I don't know if it was Coin Market Cap.
Yeah, it was. We did have Coin Market Cap, but it was funny because then it was only one page.
Yeah, it was one page, and it was about 60 cryptos.
Yeah, so that's it.
I was like, Bitcoin maximalist. I'm going to live and die by the Bitcoin. I do not want to do a bunch of research on 60 other cryptos that have all these funky names.
Right.
I don't care if they cost a quarter. I wasn't looking to 10x. I thought at that time that I came in at the top.
Let's talk about that, because people who may have gotten in 2017 think, everyone that got in the early days, they've got to be a millionaire by now. Explain to the masses, because that's hindsight thinking. Back then, when I got in, Bitcoin was at $78. It was the most expensive currency in the world then. It was so it's like you have to think then. You can't hindsight and think like, well, right. $78, I would have sold everything and bought no. At that point, it was already expensive. It was already overvalued, right? to right. most people. Yeah.
The rumors of saying like $100,000 Bitcoin or $1 million Bitcoin at a time. Yeah, they were around, but there was no true justification for it. You know? It
No.
was just like, hey, me and you are gonna decide that this is currency, and we're gonna limit the amount, and then hopefully enough people can come in and see uh, the value of it the way we see it, and then maybe the price can go up. But the problem is there's so many people just stuck on their valuing things in dollar terms, that there was like we were so outnumbered. Even though that we're still outnumbered today, I think crypto people are like the vegans of economics
Yep. I
at
like
this
that.
time.
I like that term.
But yeah, at that time, like there was no way the education was so thin. I mean, I had a Bitcoin wallet and I was running a node. I didn't know. It took 3 days for my wallet just to sync
To
so I can send
download.
it
Yep.
Bitcoin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
and then every time I turn
Were
off
you
my
using
computer,
QT back
I
then?
forgot. I forgot, man. But I just remember when I turned off my computer, I would turn it back on and then it would be like 78% sync. And I was like, what does this mean? And then there was
Right.
no resources where I knew to go to figure out what that meant. But
No.
I just know once it was synced, then I can use it.
Yep.
But the way I ended up getting my Bitcoin was in the absolutely most shadiest way. Um, I went on local Bitcoins and I bought Bitcoins. I wired money to a stranger, Mr. X 1000.
Yep.
And then I went to like Western Union or something. And then I had to come back home and then cross my fingers and hope that my Bitcoins arrived.
Yeah. Yeah. Same.
So,
Very similar with me. At least with me, it was through Charlie Shrimp's company. I still had to wire, make a bill payment to his
mhm.
company, and then pray to God. It was the first time doing it. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna get my $700. I mean, I'm like, dude, why am I doing this? I'm at the I don't know if you guys have CVS's out there, but I'm at the CVS
Yeah.
at 1 o'clock in the morning because I see an article on Zero Hedge about this technology. At like it's maybe like 12 o'clock at night at that point, and then by
Mm.
1 o'clock I'm up at CVS sending a bill,
Wow. That quick.
that quick, bro. I knew it. Like I saw, I'm like, oh my god, this is it. This is what we need. Because I was already on the whole, financial collapse happened, right? That's when a
Mhm.
lot of people started waking up. That's when I started doing a lot of research. So I knew that this system was so messed up and so the equality was not there anymore for the common
Mhm.
person. And so when I saw this type of new money, I jumped right on it, man. I jumped right on it. But so tell me, let's kind of fast forward a little bit. Altcoins.
Yeah.
When did you start getting into the altcoins? Um, do you remember the first wave of altcoins and that whole thing? And now we're kind of, I call it the altcoin 2.0 wave, where we got Ethereum and all the ERC20 tokens and all these EOS and all these other
Mhm.
altcoins. Tell the audience how back then we thought that some of the altcoins that we hodled were going to be the ones that were going to take over Bitcoin, and a lot of them don't even exist anymore.
So that's where kind of my story kind of ends.
Mm.
It's like the information was so thin.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at some altcoins, and the only one that kind of made sense to me was Litecoin,
Litecoin,
but it
yeah.
still wasn't like 100% clear. I was like, why should I get Litecoin when I can still buy a Bitcoin? And
I'm
now
gonna be
it's
honest with you,
money.
man. I got Litecoin at 56 cents. That was the first time
Ooh.
I started buying Litecoin.
Mm,
That's when I really started making money because I started mining Litecoin because at that point it was even then it was hard to mine Bitcoin on your
mm.
own. You would have to mine through like a pool or something. So
Okay.
you could mine Litecoin on a GPU. I went to
Mm.
Micro Center, bought a couple GPUs and started mining Litecoin and really started making a lot of money. That's the only reason I started messing with Litecoin because I could mine it easily.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I eventually did was like, okay, this kind of seems interesting. Litecoin was Litecoin was jumping up and down a lot at that time. And I
Yeah.
think I came in at the top. I bought it at like I think it was like 14, 15, 16, $17, somewhere in the teens. I got me a little bit of Litecoin because at the time I was working for minimum wage. And so I didn't really have all the money to like cover all my rent. So I got me some Litecoin. I left it on an exchange and I forgot what exchange it was. And then I put my Bitcoin on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a hot wallet.
Yep.
And
That was the
then
only
I
way.
went,
It was only one wallet.
yeah. So then I went to a Dodger game and I dropped my phone and I didn't know. And the people in front of me, like, they just grabbed the phone and they're like, "Hey, is this yours?" And I was like, "I never dropped my phone." And I checked my pocket and it was totally empty. And I was like, "Oh, dang, I almost lost a bunch of money right there." So from that point on, I went home. I figured out how to do a paper wallet, threw my Bitcoins on a paper wallet, threw them in a safe. And then I was like, looked up crypto news and I was like, there's nothing really going on right now. It's not interesting. So I totally walked away for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
I was totally like uh, out of the loop. And I remember Mount Gox fell, and I didn't even know what the heck a Mount Gox was.
Right.
So
Right.
Mount Gox fell, my Bitcoin went down in value, and I was super stressing. I was still up, but I was super stressing. And at that point, I was thinking about dumping all my Bitcoin for silver
Mm-hmm.
with Peter Schiff.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
he kind of made it
look at
a
old
little.
Peter Schiff, still talking the same stuff, man. I've been a Peter Schiff fan for many years, maybe even longer than I've been in Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And his narrative hasn't changed. And man, he's lost his clients a lot of money,
Yeah.
not at least buying a little bit of this Bitcoin because he's known about it before both of us. He knew about it at $5 or something crazy.
Wow, interesting. Well, it's interesting because he was at one point he was accepting Bitcoin as payment
Yes,
to buy
gold,
gold from them or silver. I think he handles
Shift
all crypto.
Gold, yeah,
Yeah. So I was
or
like,
Europac Pacific or something. Yeah, his
yeah,
company.
so I know somebody bought Bitcoin. So I know he holds some Bitcoin or at least held some at some point. Now he just doesn't want to admit it due to ruining is probably his reputation because reputation means a lot.
Yeah,
But yeah, I didn't really know what a Mount Gox was. It went down. I was, biting my fingers. That was my first bear market. So when this second one came around, I was just like, am I the only one watching the Titanic sink while I smoke a cigar on the edge of the
right,
boat? Because
right.
this thing's coming back up. This isn't my first rodeo. So I was trying to tell all the newbies to, keep calm and
It's been a
hodl.
few crashes. Yeah, it's been actually a few crashes, man. Um, and like you, I think around so Litecoin, then I got into the Doge, man, the Doge family, man. That was a wave like unforgettable.
Nice.
I remember that. So then after the whole crash, what was it? It was a very low, slow period for a year and a half or so with Bitcoin. And like you said, I didn't check things really
Mm-hmm.
too much. Mining became unprofitable.
Wow.
And so it was just like whatever, right? And then boom, 2017 happens. So
Wow.
tell us that experience beginning of 2017 and into the biggest bull run we've seen in cryptos.
Absolutely. It was really good. It was like kind of like a wake up call because at 2017, I was stuck in just a life point where I was career wise, I was a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because once Bitcoin hit $100 many years before 2017, I went crazy. I started telling my friends, I
Mm-hmm.
told my family, and they all thought I was crazy. And I was like, I guess I'm crazy, but you got to be a little crazy to be successful in this world because being normal
Absolutely.
gets you absolutely nowhere.
Yep.
And in 2017 came around, I was at that point where like I'm a master of none and jack of all trades, career wise. And my brother walked up to me and he was like, "Hey man, you still have your Bitcoin?" I told him, "Yeah." He's like, "Hey man, you should look at this thing. It's called Ethereum." And I was like, "What is that?" He's like, he explained it real terrible, but he pretty much said it brings the internet to you. I was like, that's interesting. I'll take a look at it. didn't take a look at it. Then I was at my local gym, trying to get in on a game of basketball, and some dude waiting with me. He's like, "Hey man, you ever heard of a Bitcoin?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have some." He's like, "Oh, you do?" And he's like, "Check this thing out. This is the next Bitcoin. It's called Ethereum." I was like, "What the heck?" And I just felt like life was coming at me. And I was like, okay, I'll check out Ethereum a little later. And then Bitcoin hit $2,000. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, holy smokes, this is the most money I ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, um, I think life in general was just calling me. And I was like, I'm gonna take this leap and get back into crypto and learn everything I can and meet everyone I can.
Mm-hmm.
So I started getting back into crypto and learning a few things. And I went on YouTube, and it was amazing to find actual news that was really interesting to me and that was educating people. So I learned of my favorite YouTuber, Omar Bam, and I was like, I like his point of view. I
Right.
really like his point of view because he wasn't trying to sway you one way or the other.
Right.
He was just like, here's the news, take it as you want.
Right.
And you really called it like a referee. And I was like, man, not even the mainstream media news does this. Like they're trying to sway you one way. And I
Correct.
loved what Omar was doing because he was just, giving you the solid truth. So I was like, I still didn't know anyone in crypto, anyone. So I was like, I'm going to go to a convention, and I want to go to one where Omar is because I want to meet this dude and just thank him for what he's doing for the community.
Right.
And then I found out that he was in LA, and I was like, oh, damn, I'm going to run into this guy. I don't care if it's at a mall, at a bar. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to run
Mm-hmm.
into this dude somewhere, and we're going to chat it up. I'm going to finally have somebody to talk crypto about too. And I joined his Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
And one night it was just like his girlfriend put up a post like, hey, we're going to go out to the bar. If anybody wants to join us, you're more than welcome. So they went out to have drinks in Hollywood. I was like, yo, I'm going to be there. And I'm thinking, I was like, yo, man, he has like 80,000 people on his Facebook group, and he had a bunch of people on his YouTube. I was like, there's going to be a ton of people there. Man, I show up. It was literally me, him, and his girl. And I was like,
Wow.
I told him, I was like, hey, man, where's everybody else? And he's like, this is everybody. I was like, oh, shit. And, we had a good time. We had a few drinks. And then I was just like, man, I want to do something. I need to do something crypto wise. And it's just like all this stuff is just coming to me, man. And it took me a while. Like I was looking to probably work in crypto somehow. I'm not a dev or anything. I work in sales.
Okay.
But after that, I was just like, man, everything in crypto wise is coming to me. So I'm just going to stay on this road and see where it comes. And it finally led to me putting together a meetup group in my local area in Long Beach to do two things. One, educate the people who don't know what a Bitcoin or a blockchain is and show them why it's important.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, if you do know why that is important and what they are, and you just want to talk crypto about what's going on, like we can come here and meet up, once a month or bi-weekly and just chat it up. Because to me, I grew up playing a lot of basketball growing up. And if you wanted to go play basketball, you just go to the park and, play with whoever's playing. But with crypto, it was just like, there's nowhere to go. I mean, you can go to these conventions, but I mean, do you want to fly, across country and stay in a hotel and then buy a ticket for, a few $100 to a few $1,000s, or, just go to your local, crypto meetup and just chat it up there is just as good, in my opinion, even though conventions are going to give you a lot more bang for your buck.
So
But
let's talk about that because do you feel like currently, and I've got your meetup on the screen now for people to find, and maybe we'll drop a link in the description of this video, but is Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies truly inclusive, meaning inclusive from an economic standpoint for the everyday person? I'm not convinced that it is currently. And when the whole craze happened,
Mm-hmm.
right? 2017, Bitcoin touches to almost 20,000. These these conventions and these events, the tickets were $1,500, $2,000. You know, very expensive.
Yeah.
That's not inclusiveness. That's not economic inclusiveness. Um,
Right.
what are your
Right.
thoughts about the community as a whole, and getting people in who may not have a lot of money or may be
Right.
intimidated by the price of these tokens?
Yeah, I mean, Ken Bozak said it really good. You know, crypto education should be free
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, what Bitcoin is trying to do is trying to bring true freedom to the people. It's not money, not a, it's not a money making thing at first. Like the number one thing to me about Bitcoin is that it's trying to bring true freedom and put everyone on an even playing field in a way. And what the conventions do, they're freaking amazing. Like I love the conventions. I've been to a few. You get to see a lot of people, but I go in with a media pass,
Yeah.
and media passes, you know, you get a reduced rate,
Mm-hmm.
or you might get in free.
Mm-hmm.
It really depends. But if you're just the average guy that, at one point, I was that average guy that was working at minimum wage. I'm not going to be going to a convention on minimum wage.
Nope.
I'm not going to be buying a ticket. I'm not going to be flying across the country, and I'm not going to be able to stay at the Roach Motel on minimum wage, especially in California. So no, it's definitely not inclusive. It's really boxing out the people. So if you have a bit of education, um, I definitely recommend you start a meetup in your area just once a month, meet up at a cafe and just talk about crypto because um, when that bull run started happening, that's when I started my meetup. And these uneducated people would come and they all wanted to know what the next Bitcoin was. And I was like, I'll tell you exactly what the next Bitcoin is, but I'm gonna break your heart because the truth hurts
Mm-hmm.
because the next Bitcoin is Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing was, well, I was told that Ripple's gonna be the next Bitcoin, and I was like, you've come to the right place. It's time for you to kind of get educated and you got to understand the difference between what Ripple does and what Bitcoin does.
Let's talk
And
about that, man.
yeah.
Ripple, I'm not a huge fan of it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's probably the only cryptocurrency, if you want to call it a cryptocurrency. I don't even want to call it that, but the only one I literally do not like. Um, even I mean BSV, Bitcoin Cash. Yeah, I don't like their founders and what their MO is, but the coin itself is whatever the community wants to use, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if it's decentralized enough to run without being modified, and there's been some issues with Bitcoin Cash and them reversing blocks or whatever, but for the most part, I like pretty much all cryptocurrencies and what they're trying to attempt, man. But XRP is dangerous in my opinion. What are your thoughts about XRP and why don't you like it?
What if I did like it?
Let me know.
I'm kidding. I'm fully like, I'm fully like,
And we
I
have
was
a
talking
good discussion.
nah, I don't like the centralization of it. I don't like that. What is it? Is it XRP the coin and Ripple the company? Is that how
One
it
of the
goes?
two. I don't know. Yeah, they.
However it goes, they hold the vast majority. I mean, you even showed it on your show. I forget that website. I think it's Are We Decentralized Yet?
Mm-hmm.
And it
Yep.
shows that they're holding like 70%
Seventy
still.
percent. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the only thing going for XRP is that it works and it's still being worked on to be even a more polished product. But it's not trying to bring freedom to the people. It's not trying to really do anything crazy new. I mean, it is trying to do borderless transactions, but it's from a bank to a bank.
Right.
And
So that's the whole point. We have to
yeah,
just educate people and help them understand the ethos behind cryptocurrencies in this community is to literally separate ourselves from the banking cartel, right? We're not trying to integrate, we're not trying to commingle with them. As you know, when you got into the crypto game, it was even more libertarian than it
yeah,
is today. And we were like, F the banks fully. We don't want anything to do with it. No KYC, no AML, none of that. And so, how do you feel? Like, how do you educate people? Do you educate the people that come to your meetups in that way? Do you say, look, this is not something, this crypto technology is not something that we are trying to integrate into the banking system, but actually separate ourselves from? How do you approach that with
yeah.
people?
So I approach it from multiple viewpoints. So number one, I try to tell them, number one, Bitcoin is not something to look at as I'm gonna make a ton of money on first. I mean, it's very, very possible that you can make Bitcoin, but it's also possible that something comes along that's better than Bitcoin and knocks it off. But the point is
I'm
that
so glad you said that. Yep.
yeah, this is a freedom thing first. It's bringing freedom to the people, and then it's also a war. This is a financial war going on. And the problem is that there's an entity that Bitcoin can or the community can fight, which is these banks and these central banks. And the problem with the central banks and the banks fighting back is that there's no person or location that they can fight back against Bitcoin. So what they're trying to do is, you said it amazingly on yesterday's show, they're trying to cut off the on ramping and off ramping to cryptos.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much the only way they can fight it, as far as I can see. But
Yeah,
eventually,
and I'm sure you heard me talk about local Bitcoins shutting
right?
down their cash
Yeah,
operating. That's the whole point, right? You got
yeah,
in because of local Bitcoins and being able to go peer to peer anonymously acquire some Bitcoin, and they've taken that
absolutely.
away. So we're seeing the war wage against us with a lot of this on ramping. They're trying to get it to the point where the only way you're going to get in is if you identify yourself.
Right.
So we gotta, as much as we don't like Roger Ver, and I don't know how long this is gonna last, but local.bitcoin.com, you can go there, you can buy and sell and trade Bitcoin anonymously or Bitcoin Cash. But then at that point, you can go get whatever crypto you want. But we need more of that, man. And we just got to make sure we continually keep people. I love that you said that about Bitcoin itself. There's no guarantee with any of this. As much as there was no guarantee back in when you got in 2012, 2013, this is still new.
Yeah.
Something can come and replace Bitcoin, but the concept is out there. The cat is out the bag, and we can't
Yeah.
reverse this technology. So really, we need to educate people on the ethos of blockchain and what it really means to have cryptocurrencies, decentralized for the most part, decentralized cryptocurrencies. That's where the power is, and we got to
Hmm.
just remember that.
Absolutely. That sometimes with this crypto stuff, it really reminds me of, when the Europeans were leaving Europe
Mm.
to come to America,
Mm-hmm.
because they were fleeing, taxes.
Yep.
They were fleeing the rule of kings and queens, and they were looking for freedom. And that's when America prospered the most, to be honest. I mean, yeah, they didn't have internet, they didn't have, cars and all that stuff, but they prospered the most. I mean, they were literally, even though, they had a war here against the Native Americans, um, they had land to grow on, they had, houses to live in at an affordable rate. Right now, we're so taxed up to the neck. Everything costs a lot, and at the same time your taxes are still going up, and then the value of the dollar that you're being paid in is losing value. So why are you saving, the majority of your stuff in dollars? Why aren't you, educating yourself a little bit about what crypto can do for you, or at least precious metals? Because at the end of the day, your dollar is guaranteed to fall. It's a guarantee. There's no way of coming back.
Nope.
Especially with the money printing, and they're talking about doing more money printing, and
they're gonna be cutting
the interest rates.
Yep.
Because there's no way they're gonna be able to raise them.
Yeah, we're toward the end of this thing, man. I can't believe it's happening. It's finally happening. Like, they're getting ready to reverse rates, and we only were able to get up to, I don't even think, was it 3%, maybe 2.5 basis points. It's starting to really take a toll, and we're starting to really see it. I see maybe another 5 years of this to go forward with. But I have this comment from Rad Vladdy. He's a smart guy, man. He comments on my videos all the time, and I want to get your feedback on this. I'm going to read this for the audience. There are two sides of money. There's the saving side, store of value. There's the borrowing side, shorting, opposite of saving essentially. There's the spending side, getting rid of it for goods and services. And there's the receiving side of it for goods and services. Bitcoin can't become money because people won't want to spend it, and they won't want to borrow it, deflationary. But what about the other side of the Bitcoin? People will want to save it and will demand it for payment. These are cross currents. The question is, which forces will prevail? People act in their best interest. I personally want to spend inflationary money and save deflationary currency. What happens when I run out of inflationary currency and get paid in deflationary currency and have no inflationary currency to spend? I'm forced to spend my deflationary currency, and I'm very thoughtful about it. I think long term, when I spend, what will happen is the short term thinkers who will want to consume it will get poorer, and the long term thinkers who will save will get richer. Which one do you want to be? So he's referring to really kind of what Bitcoin is and how people utilize it, right? To you, is it something that you should spend, or is it something that you should be saving and accumulating? Which is it for you?
And that I've been thinking about that for a while now, and it's definitely you're like at a catch-22 with it. Because number one, hodling is awesome, not a use case.
No,
you need
you're
to
right.
use the Bitcoin.
Right.
And right now, I mean, to be honest, 95% of the usage of Bitcoin is speculative, but it's like we're just shuffling coins between us trading.
Yeah.
And let's see who gets the shit in of the stick.
It's the greatest fool theory at the moment.
Yeah.
We have to admit it, right? Right now, it's greatest fool theory. Is I have Bitcoin and I'm waiting, I'm hodling it to sell it to someone who thinks it's going to go higher.
Yes. And, that's what Peter Schiff's point is, which he has a good point.
He has a good point.
But if we were to spend some of it, not all the time, and let's say if we spent some, once a month, you bought a t-shirt with it or something, you're actually doing more good for the crypto community, because you're forcing a company to continue to accept Bitcoin, and you're actually using it instead of just shuffling it around. Because if we're trading, you're going to have a winner and you're going to have a loser, and the exchange, of course, wins. If you're using it as a peer-to-peer cash, I'm winning because I'm using it. You're winning because you're accepting a deflationary currency, and it's actually creating an economic velocity. And that's one thing that we're lacking. And I've heard Andreas talk about a few things, and he said something really interesting. Once Bitcoin is really high in value and has economic velocity, then we'll have a more stable Bitcoin. And I think that's going to be the point where we can kind of use it a little bit more as a peer-to-peer cash. But there's still that issue of the deflationary part, because that those happenings are pretty much ticking time bombs. And you can set your clock every 4 years, every X amount of blocks, that, the amount of Bitcoin to be mined per block is going to get cut in half.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
that's an amazing state. And
we
that,
see what's happening to that with Litecoin in
mm-hmm.
about 60 days here or so. And it's been going crazy, but I agree with you, man. It is a catch-22, and I think it's because we're in a world of inflationary currencies.
Mm-hmm.
To see a new asset class that's deflationary, really, to me, is a black hole. It's a fiat currency black hole.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
is.
And almost the idea sounds so simple. I don't know why we didn't think about it before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, being a fiat dark hole is definitely a great way to put it. And my hat's off to those people who live off Bitcoin, like Andreas and Ken Bozak, and I'm sure there's other
Yeah,
people who
man.
just live off of it, and
That's
they're truly like the guinea pigs
yeah.
to this new economy. But I mean, if you want to make a lot of money, and that's your point, which is not Ken Bozak's point,
Mm-hmm.
me and him, we've talked, and his thing is like, I just want to hold one Bitcoin that I'm never going to touch. And the rest of it, I'm going to live off of.
Mm-hmm.
Hats off to you. He doesn't care about being rich. He literally just wants to travel, couch surf, and smoke weed.
Yeah, that's why I
That's
like him,
his thing.
man. That's my
That's
guy.
his thing.
That's my
That's his
guy.
thing.
Yeah, genuine guy, and I, like you said, hats off to him because he truly embodies what cryptos are, and I can't even do that, right? I mean, I'm not there yet. I think saving it as a deflationary asset is great because it's just going to increase in value in relation to all of these fiat currencies. But at the end of the day, we have to realize some of this appreciation in value, whether it be buying something with Bitcoin or just converting it over to a fiat currency. And I preached this all in 2017. I mean, take a little profit. Nothing hurts to take a little profit. Either take it, and use it to buy other real physical assets, or keep it on the sideline to buy more and accumulate more tokens in the future as we go through these waves up and down. So that's interesting, man. Any other thoughts about this? Where we are today, we've got Facebook coin, or they call it global coin, which is the corniest name ever. What are your thoughts about that coin? How fast they're moving with this? Is this going to help or hurt the idea and vision of Bitcoin?
Okay, so I don't think a lot of people talk about this too often, but Facebook has definitely been working on this for a long time. When it was, not sure, but I know maybe 6 to 10 months ago, Mark Zuckerberg's sister became an advisor at Wobi. So, I mean, the
Mm,
family's definitely been dipping their toes and seeing how these thing works. Facebook Global Coin is gonna be it, it's gonna have its pros and its cons. Number one, its pro is it's gonna open people's mind to accepting a crypto, because still I speak to a lot of people now, and they're like, well, why would you hold Bitcoin when it's not backed by anything? But then I tell them, but you hold dollars and it's not backed by anything either.
they don't understand
Um,
that.
the only true backing of the dollar is my gun in your face and bombs over your head. And the only way
Taxes.
you can buy oil with it is going to be in dollars.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only real true backing that I see. And Facebook coin or global coin is going to open the eyes to the people of a cryptocurrency backed by a basket of currencies,
Right.
which are backed still by nothing. So you have a
Right.
nothing backed by nothing backed by nothing. And I was like,
I mean, it is back. So fiat currencies do have some value because there's GDP output from that, right? It
mhm.
may not be anything like, I don't know, man. It's not tangible per se, but there is some value in knowing that, you can only, for the most part, buy oil with the dollar, as you've stated.
Mhm.
Taxes, the military industrial complex, that all that's value added to the perceived value of that dollar, though it's, of course, like you said, it's losing its value over time. But yeah, man, I think you hit one point that I want to just follow up on, is that is one of your approaches to educating people about crypto, um, showing them what crypto is not, or showing them what fiat currencies aren't?
I
Like, I
like to
think that's a
use,
good way to do it.
yeah, I like to use a really nice a Kool-Aid analogy because
Mm-hmm.
I try to keep everything really basic because I only have like a small paper presentation, and the best way I learned about how the blockchain works was with video, which is a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell them like this: okay, so your dollar has a certain value, and at that value, $1 gets you a soda at the store. Once um, these dollars keep being printed, that soda starts to become like $1.25,
Mm-hmm.
$1.30, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's pretty much like this. You have the Kool-Aid, and it's perfect. It has the right amount of water and the right amount of Kool-Aid powder. But once you start printing, like heavily printing, not the regular printing that we do for damaged bills or whatnot, but I'm talking about the heavy printing, the bailouts and the QEs. That's when you start adding more water to the Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
Start adding more water to the Kool-Aid, and it starts getting watered down. And I'm still serving you that same 1 cup of Kool-Aid and telling you that it's the same taste and it's the same everything. And you're just taking it at face value. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. It's watered down, but you're accepting that it's the same Kool-Aid because your leaders told you to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your leaders told you that it is. So that's how I try to explain where the money printing is. And then the way that Bitcoin works is like it's just going to continue to grow stronger until something can knock it off. So at that point, you're adding more Kool-Aid powder to the water, and it's just getting stronger and stronger,
Right.
and you're going to have to water it down yourself. And that's the benefit of hodling.
Yeah.
But still, at the end of the day, hodling is not a use case we
I
really.
like I like pointing people to Mike Maloney's series on money and stuff. That
Mm-hmm.
really sets the stage so that people understand what's wrong with the system, and then they can understand what cryptocurrencies are doing to solve that problem. Because as you stated, people will say, well, Bitcoin's not backed by anything. They don't even realize that their own currency really truly isn't. They many people still think it's backed by gold, which is crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely interesting.
So
Um,
yeah, we got to educate people about what's wrong with the current system, and to help them appreciate what this cryptocurrency system is about, I
yeah, I
think.
mean, at the current system, you're definitely set to be locked in to lose long term wise.
Yeah, long
And
term.
at
Mm-hmm.
least in crypto, you have an opportunity. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and that's why I truly support it because there's a chance. And right now, over the last 10 years, it's been more than a chance. It's pretty much been a guarantee.
Yeah.
And for the short term in the next few years, I still see it as a guarantee.
What I just saw a statistic, a stat on Bitcoin. I think it's returned 140 something thousand% in 7 years.
Interesting.
So
I
I
don't know
mean,
if I don't know if it was on your channel or somebody else's channel, but they kept saying even if you bought Bitcoin at its all-time high in Argentina with Argentinian pesos, you'd still be up right now. And I was like,
that's
whoa.
crazy.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
their currency is deflating quickly.
absolutely.
Venezuela as well. So
Absolutely.
it's gonna come here too, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
But
As soon as somebody figures out how to buy oil without using US dollars, that's definitely going to be a trend.
Maduro was trying to do that, man, and you see
Yeah, and
how
that's
Trump quickly got, it's
it's so
crazy.
funny, man. I mean, Gaddafi was the
Yep,
first one to do it, and he
he
was in
got
power
killed.
forever, right?
Hmm.
But it wasn't until he started, I'm going to buy oil in euros or gold.
Suddenly
Oh,
he's this
oh, he's a
dictator.
dictator.
Yep,
And I was
yep,
like, wait, how long has he been in power?
yep.
And now the same thing in
Saddam too. I know people, Iraqi individuals there here in America now, and they were like, I mean, he was an okay guy over there. He treated people, with, I mean, he was a dictator, but Saddam wasn't the bad guy that was painted in our media until he wanted to start buying oil with other, currencies. Then all of a sudden he's a terrorist and so
yeah,
on and so forth. So,
yeah. And then we have military bases out there.
hmm,
I don't know if you listen to Gerald Celente.
yeah, I like Jerusalem.
I was just listening to him last night. He was like reading the newspaper, and he said generals still feel threatened by the Iraqis. And I was like, but you have a military base there. How are you feeling threatened by them? It's just like they set up a military base here and they feel threatened by us.
Right.
It's like, come on, dude, you should just get out of the Middle East. But now at this point, from what I've learned from some vets that were over there, it's like if we leave, it's gonna get worse because we just shook
We
it up.
messed everything up. Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
So I don't know how that cookie's gonna crumble. It's
Yeah,
it's
well,
definitely interesting.
we'll have to see what happens, man.
Yeah.
So do you think this Facebook coin is going to really, I don't know why they're comparing it to Ripple, but what do you think about Facebook and it annihilating Ripple? This Bitcoin expert is saying. I don't know who they are referring to, but I
I don't
don't
know
I'm not.
about annihilating Ripple, but I do see it as a more of a chance for crypto to be adopted at local places because of their marketing and their grasp of people uh, that are going to be exposed to it. I could definitely see maybe a big chain accepting Zuck bucks at the ATM terminal.
I just
But
don't see. I heard someone say on my video. I talked about Facebook Coin the other day,
mhm,
and they were like, "You're shocked that they're moving so fast. Don't you
mhm,
understand that the Facebook is the government?" And I didn't respond because it was going to be too much to respond to. But
yeah,
I wanted them to understand that, dude, the government is not all in one accord. There are factions inside of the government battling with one another.
right.
Facebook coin is not a good thing for Federal Reserve, in my opinion. They wouldn't want that. That's out of their control, right? Or what do you
Yeah,
think about
no,
that?
exactly. No, you're calling it like it is. I didn't see that viewpoint, but yeah, I don't think the Federal Reserve wants the Zuck bucks to happen. But maybe they're somehow some way working with it. Maybe they're gonna be investing in these Zuck bucks somehow some way, taking some sort of chunk of transaction fees. Not sure. I mean, the entire layout or white paper of the global coin hasn't been released yet to a T. So I mean, from my perspective, I think it's going to expose people. I
Hmm.
think it's really ridiculous that it's going to be $10 million to run a node.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw
That's really
that.
ridiculous right
That
off the
well,
bat.
not well, maybe not. Hell, that you may make your money back in 5 months. Like I don't
Right.
know. It may be a very good investment.
It may be a good investment, but once people start kind of seeing like, oh, you don't need much to run a node for Bitcoin. You just pretty much need a computer validating the transactions or just looking at the transactions, and they're gonna pretty much, hopefully, they can see that. I think Facebook Coin is gonna go right into the same thing as the money printing and just like put out as much. They're gonna do what Tether's doing. Oh, now here's $300 million of Facebook Coin. out on the market. I think they're going to do
Yeah,
that.
I'm wondering how that whole supply thing is gonna work too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be honest, I'm really, really looking at voice coming out. I'm really interested in that working out.
My only
Um,
concern about voice, and I'm disappointed, man. It looks like may not have all the functionality for U.S. citizens. And I mean, I understand they're a corporation, they're a legitimate corporation, and maybe that's the problem. You
hmm,
know, maybe it needs to be some type of autonomous, decentralized organization that creates a voice.com where the governments can't really go after them,
hmm.
for allowing U.S. citizens to use a voice token. So we'll have to see what happens, man. It's that battle, man. It's like I've said, it's we can't play both sides of the fence. We got to draw a line with these governments at some point. Like it
Yeah.
can't be you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
run into this issue.
Yeah. It's definitely an issue. We definitely got to draw the line in the sand. And I mean, at the end of the day, that point, it just has to come down like, hey, we're no longer. I mean, I think you just have to go the Ken Bozak route. From my point, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're just gonna have to go full crypto, whether it's just Bitcoin or if you're using some. I really like the DAI token idea on Ethereum. I'm glad that it's coming on other programs. I'm like, whenever you can create the DAI token, is just a protocol that you can, you know, be made on any crypto,
Yeah.
because all it is it's pretty much like a
It's-
pawn shop.
it's-
You're putting up your crypto as collateral and getting a
right.
stable coin back.
Right.
You should
Right.
be able to do that on any crypto, and then if you can just add privacy to it. So once you have
Yep.
a private stable coin that you
And
can
that's all
create,
run. The DAI is run through a smart contract. It's no person, right?
yeah.
From my
If you
understanding.
yeah, if you can do DAI, like with you say it all the time, these privacy coins really haven't been tested, and that's true. But let's just say ZK Snarks for now. If you can just slap ZK Snarks on a DAI token,
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna be a very good weapon that we will have against these governments, and as long as we use them, because I don't think anybody's gonna be hodling a stable coin.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah. I
hoping for
mean,
that.
I like the concept of the anonymous coins. They work now for sure. You can't break them. I mean, but I'm just concerned about in the future with the newer technologies and qubits and quantum bits and that whole thing, because it's a situation where it's a blockchain with a record. At any
Mm-hmm.
point in the future, if that encryption is cracked, now they can go back and see everybody's stuff and track and
Mm,
trace everyone. So that's
I
the
gotcha.
inherent problem and risk with encryption, anonymity on the blockchain, is because it's anonymously stored on a ledger. So at any point in the future, if they crack it, then it can expose a lot of people. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But I just want to end with this Google trend on Bitcoin. As you guys can see on the screen, it's been going up a decent amount this year for the last 12 months. Got a spike in May of 2019, the 12th through the 18th. That was a pretty big spike there. And from sub-regions, we've got Nevada, Hawaii, and California is number 3. So I guess you're doing a good job out there spreading the word
Yeah,
about.
we got a pretty good community out here. I'll tell you that. I don't know how the rest of the country is doing, but we got a pretty good community. Right now, we're organizing Blockchain Plus. This year, we've had guests that are local. They're all
Okay.
working on projects, or they're YouTubers, or they've
Mm-hmm.
swung by LA for some reason. And I don't know, how Detroit is. I'm really curious how it is community wise.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to Randolph from the Crypto Love, and he's in Miami. He says, "Yeah, crypto community is not really popping in Miami." So
Yeah,
I
I
don't know how
can't.
it
I'm
is.
not the best person to be a gauge on that, because I'm gonna be honest. I don't get out into. I don't go to these meetups and stuff like that as I should. So I don't know, man. I mean, I know the EOS Detroit community, the EOS community is pretty, I go to those events every once in a while, so that may
Okay.
be skewed though. So I'm just saying, as far as the Bitcoin community, I'm not too sure how big it is and how strong it is at this point. So I have to do my part and try to get more awareness to
You
the
should pop in
community.
on one, man. Just go to your local. Just go to one, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that.
Just go to one and say
Yep,
that, like, yo, I'm gonna be here at this
yep,
meetup. You want to see me? Come here, and
yep.
it's gonna drive more people to come out and
That's true.
connect other people with other people, man.
No, you're right. I'm gonna definitely have to do that. Gaston Cruz, man, great talk, great talk. Glad you came on. You guys can check him out on Twitter at GC, or I should say G Cruz N88. You see that
Yeah,
on the screen there.
yeah.
Blockchain Plus organizer and co-founder. Great to have you on, man, and I'll definitely have to get you back on soon in the near future to talk more blockchain and tech and all that. Maybe we'll talk about this Facebook coin when it comes out and see what's going on with that. I don't know, man.
Definite. It's already shady from the start,
It
so
does sound a little
I'm
weird.
sure. I'm sure it'll continue. Got my next event's gonna be more of a social on June 22nd. It's gonna be in downtown Long Beach, and I'm just bringing out as many projects as I can. I have 20 projects coming out, and we're just gonna be getting together at a bar, having drinks. And the Monday after that, as a community, we'll be going off to the 2019 Bitcoin conference in San Francisco. So it's gonna be a good time, and that's gonna be on the Bit Bus, and you can definitely find out more about the Bit Bus on Twitter at Crypto Bit Bus.
Cool, cool. When? What date is the San Fran event?
I think it's the 24th. I think it's the 25th and 26th, but we're leaving the 24th because it's a 5-hour drive up.
Okay, cool. Well, all right,
Absolutely.
man. You guys check him out on Twitter. Great having him on. Gaston Cruz. It's your boy Crypto Blood. That's it. How?